The House of Representatives has approved a White House request to claw back 2 years of previously approved funding for public media. The rescissions package now moves on to the Senate. This move poses a serious threat to local stations and public media as we know it. Please take a stand for public media today at goacpr.org. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Car Talk from National Public Radio with us, Click and Clack, the Tappert Brothers, and we're broadcasting this week from Murky Research here at Car Talk Plaza. Now,
Murky Research Division. We gave him an entire division.
Well, we did, but he's down to a battalion now. Well, Paul Murky of Murky Research has presented us with poll results. You may remember a few weeks ago, we introduced the Car Talk opinion poll.
Yeah, the weekly Car Talk opinion. Every time we come up with something that we think is going to be weekly, it ends up being bi-weekly or monthly. We can't seem to do anything.
Bi-weekly, we mean this.
WEA.
There you go. Anyway, our first poll question here was, should a 16-year-old kid have his or her own car?
Yeah. First of all, the vote was overwhelmingly against a 16-year-old
we suspected
kid
that.
having his own car. It was 2-1. Like 67%, almost exactly 2-1. 67% answered no.
And I bet you something like 33 said yeah.
30, yeah. That's good. How'd you know that? And we also, knowing our little crosstabs here, we did a few crosstabs, and we can answer the following questions. Like, did women answer differently than men? I mean, I have to say that my expectation was that more men would be in favor of a 16-year-old kid having his own car than women.
Most men that weren't hypocrites because they had a car when they were 16, or they lusted after a car.
They lusted after a car, and they would understand what it was like to have a car.
They could empathize.
Empathize, that's a good word. And women, being more sane, I would have guessed, would have said absolutely not. But the truth is, it was almost exactly the same, males and females. That was curious.
Interesting.
And it was, again, 67-33, or 32.
32 and a half.
Yeah. What about people with kids and without kids? People with kids were more opposed to the idea than people without, but it was close. It was like 71% for people with kids said no, and 60-something% of kids.
Get right to the aberrations.
The aberrations. Here's the interesting part. Part of it was an aberration. What about age?
What about age?
And obviously, everyone under 20 was strongly in favor. It was like 81% said, yes, of course a 16-year-old kid should have his or her own car. And only 20% said no. But we don't count them. I mean, because they're biased about this whole thing.
Yeah.
But everyone who was a real person.
In the interest of fairness, we didn't count them.
Right. No, we didn't count. We counted them.
Of course you
but
counted
we discount them.
Right.
They you can't.
3 for $1.
They can't know it. Real people of 20 to 45, all about the same. About 65% said no, they shouldn't, and 33% said yes, they should. Then, for people who are 45 to 64, and I think this is the group where all the parents of the 16-year-olds are, the no response went up to about 75%.
Not unexpected.
And here's the curious thing.
Yes.
I thought was curious.
I thought so too.
People who were 65 and older were split almost even. Half and half saying yes and no. Now, my brother has a theory about this, but I don't know what the theory is.
Yeah, no, I just think that old people realize that you're going to have fun when you're young. And maybe they didn't. And maybe they're having some regrets about that.
Sure.
Well, more importantly, what's this week's question?
This week's question is this. Should the country, that's the United States of America that we live in, remain on daylight saving time year-round? That is, abolish what we call standard time, and it will soon become, so the daylight saving time will soon become the standard time. Should we stay on daylight saving time? I don't want to influence the answer to this, but when do you need more daylight than in the winter?
Exactly.
And this just the time when we decide not to save it. And what happens to all those hours that we save anyway? Where are they?
Well, we add them to the summer.
So that's the question. So you can go to the website, cartalk.msn.com, and you can vote. Should the country remain on daylight saving time year-round? Thank you so much. It's been nice being a guest on your show, and I'll see you later.
Great. Thank God. If you'd like to call us about your car or anything else for that matter, our number is 1-800-332-9287. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi, my name is Lori. I'm from Binghamton, New York.
Laurie?
Lori.
Laurie.
Laurie. Very good. Most people want to shorten that right down.
To Lori.
Yeah. Anyway.
What's up?
I have a 1987 Subaru GL with about 136,000 miles on it.
Mm-hmm.
And for the last 2 years, I've been plagued with this problem of losing antifreeze. You know, the radiator's been replaced, and several times I've taken it to people who have done that thing where they flush, water through it to check for leaks.
Mm-hmm.
And there are no visible leaks, but here's the worst thing about this is that it's on the engine somehow. So the fumes come back at me of hot antifreeze.
You can smell it.
Yes, I can smell it.
Well, how come these morons that you've brought it to can't find the leak?
I don't know. Oh,
did I answer my own question?
You may have.
No, I mean, if you can smell it, obviously it's leaking onto something. And if they were there at that moment and opened up the hood, they would be able to see exactly where it was coming from.
Because it's green, right? It's bright green.
Yeah, and it's wet.
Yeah.
And steam would be
hot.
Steam would be coming off of it.
But my temperature gauge never changes.
Well, the temperature gauge wouldn't change unless you were genuinely overheating. On the other hand, if you lose a little bit of coolant under high pressure, it will make a lot of steam.
Yeah.
Because half of what's in there is water.
Right.
Yeah.
Which steams up pretty easily.
I mean, you can do this yourself. If you can't trust any of these bozo mechanics that you've been to, then next time this happens, very gingerly open the hood and see if you can tell.
Don't open the hood.
Don't open the hood?
Gingerly.
No, the hood should only be opened by a trained professional wearing the proper combat gear.
Yeah. Which consists of what? A baseball hat on backwards. Yeah, you can open the hood because it's not pouring out.
No.
Just be careful that there isn't any steam really coming out for anything. So open it, when I say gingerly, sort of open it a crack and make sure there's no psst going on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the other problem area on these cars is the water pump.
Oh, okay.
So you could have a leaky water pump gasket, or you could have a leaky hose somewhere else in the system.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it should be very easily found with a pressure test. And what we would do if we had this car is we would find a nice dry spot on which to park it, run the engine with the pressure tester on it, and get the engine red hot. And then if it hadn't built up its own pressure, we would build it up to perhaps 15 or 20 pounds of pressure, which is 5 pounds over operating pressure.
This is just a little pump that goes on in place of the radiator cap, and you can actually pump it up like a bicycle pump.
Oh.
Exactly.
So you can pressurize the whole cooling system.
And then you shut the car off and you let it sit there and you'll watch what happens. Now, it's very likely that the same steam that you see is going to appear for the mechanic. And he's going to be able then, using this instrument that he has called the eye, to find the leak.
Yeah. I mean, this ain't rocket science.
You have a little pinhole in a hose someplace.
Yeah.
Or you have a blown head gasket.
Oh.
No, I don't see a head gasket in Laurie's future.
Oh.
Thank you. I mean, I'm gonna just. I have to go into a little trance here for a moment, but I am getting a very, very strong water pump message.
Ah.
Yeah, and I'm also getting a number. $161.50. That's it.
That's
You're
it.
amazing.
How did I do?
You did great.
You're amazing. Do you read palms?
Yeah, it just happened. I mean, that's what I see.
Well,
Laurie,
Good luck.
you are an ideal candidate to be on Stump the Chumps in a few weeks. So,
Okay.
So stay by the phone.
Okay,
We'll
thank
call you. But get it fixed before you overheat
Yeah,
it.
I mean, you might not have too many brain cells left. I mean, after all, you even called us, which is an indication that
and
something
I listen
isn't
to you,
right
And I listen to you every week, so what does that say?
in that little brain. Yeah.
Right.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, we've got more calls on the puzzler answer coming up right after this.
Decades ago, Brazilian women made a discovery. They could have an abortion without a doctor, thanks to a tiny pill. That pill spawned a global movement. helping millions of women have safe abortions regardless of the law. Hear that story on the network from NPR's Embedded and Futuro Media, wherever you get your podcasts.
On the plus side, you get sponsor-free listening to over 25 NPR podcasts. On the minus side, you get fewer chances to tap fast forward on your podcast player. On the plus side, you get to support something you care about. On the minus side, you like challenges and think this makes it too easy. So why don't you join us on the plus side of things with NPR Plus? Learn more and sign up at plus.npr.org.
On NPR's Throughline,
school teachers are going to be the ones that rebuild our society in a way that is more cohesive. Basically, where soldiers set down their arms, school teachers need to pick up their books.
How the U.S. Department of Education tried to fix a divided nation.
Listen to Throughline wherever you get your podcasts.
You know those things you shout at the radio or maybe even at this very NPR podcast? On NPR's Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, we actually say those things on the radio and on the podcast. We're rude across all media. We think the news can take it. Listen to NPR's Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, it is time once again to provide America with the answer.
The answer
to last week's puzzler, which was historic, folkloric, not very challenging because you got the answer, and not terribly interesting.
I got the answer?
But hey, 2 out of 4 ain't bad, right?
I don't even know the question.
You didn't need it.
I didn't need the question, and I got the answer anyway?
Well, at the time, you needed the question.
I remember.
Some time ago, I used a puzzle regarding the man who was responsible for introducing to America the car radio.
That's right.
His name was Lear.
Yeah.
Norman Lear. He later went on to write the famous show All in the Family with Archie Bunker. No.
That guy. Yeah.
Bill Lear was his name.
Yeah.
From Lear Jet fame.
Yeah, sure.
And the radio was called the Motorola.
Oh, great name.
Victrola, Motorola. Got it?
Great name. Yeah.
Bill Lear, as it turns out, invented many things, but he also invented another car-related device that was popular in the 70s. In fact, the car I owned had one, and it was something you would find in the dashboard of cars of that ilk, but you'd hardly ever find one on a car anymore.
Yeah.
Unless it was from that era, I suppose. And the question very simply was, what was it? And you immediately...
Yeah, jumped right in
and figured out the answer. And what was it, man?
Can't remember. It was an 8-track player.
There you go, an 8-track tape player. For those of you that don't know, we have a lot of young listeners and a lot of real old listeners.
It's easy to have never seen an 8-track player.
Yeah, the 8-track was one continuous loop of tapes that would just keep playing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And there were 8 tracks on it, so you could switch from... It was brilliant.
I don't understand what happened to that. That was a great technology.
Well, there was something wrong. They jammed up all the time. I threw away more tapes.
You never knew what was on any of those tracks. You never knew what was actually happening when you pressed the button.
Oh, no.
Because if you were trying to find something you had just listened to, take you a week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, geez.
Hey, that's good. Actually, I want to say that I willed all my 8 tracks to John Sebastian Lawler.
Who now has them all.
He has them all, because he is the only one around who
he
still
has all
has an 8-track
Paul
player.
Moriarty tapes.
Maria Muldaur was big in those days. Okay.
All right, do we have a winner? Come on, man. Come on, between the poll thing and this, we're not going to take any calls today. The show's already half over.
The winner this week is Ed Mazurek. Mazurek, M-A-Z-U-R-E-K, from Mebane,
Mebane.
M-E-B-A-N-E.
I think Mebane.
Mebane or Mebane. Mebane, North Carolina. Isn't that the state that Jesse... And Ed, for having the correct answer, chosen at random from those thousands of correct answers.
Oh, and there were.
Our pal Ed is going to win one of our Car Talk Sistine Wrench t-shirts. This is just like the one that Michelangelo painted, except there is a strategically placed adjustable wrench. And God is handing it to my brother. Saying, go forward, my son.
And fix those Chevys.
And make those boat payments. Well, congratulations, Ed.
We'll have a puzzler coming up in the second half of today's show. Notice I didn't say new because it may be a used one, but you'll see why.
Yeah.
So don't touch that dial. In the meantime, we'll take your calls at 1-800-332-9287. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Good. Who's this?
This is Marisha calling from Colorado Springs.
Who?
Marisha. Spell
Marisha.
it.
Marisha.
Oh, so close.
No C. No C?
Marisha.
Yes, just like it sounds.
Marisha.
Like Marsha and Marisha put together.
Yeah. I don't know why I threw that C in there. I was thinking Eastern European.
Where did this name? You named after Saint Marisha?
I have no idea. My grandmother named me. She heard it in a restaurant. I'm probably named after some strange goulash.
It's a good thing she wasn't getting her oil changed.
Maybe a side dish.
Your
give me
name might have been Jiffy. Where are you from, Marisha?
Colorado Springs.
Colorado Springs. Cool.
Colorado.
Got it. Okay,
So-
we're ready.
Okay, here's the problem. I have a 93 Subaru Legacy wagon, and for some reason my left rear tire is making this really strange sound. It kind of sounds like, let's see, how would I describe it? Like if you have a rock in your tire, when
And it goes
when you
tick,
go
tick,
slow,
tick,
it goes
tick,
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 tick, tick. But it doesn't do tick, it does a whoosh.
Whoosh.
So when you go slow, it goes whoosh, 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 and then as you go faster, it goes whoosh, 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 and then when you get going really fast, it goes na 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 na. So it kind of gets a higher pitch sound.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you're driving on the highway up to about 75, it does that, and then at 75, it kind of smooths out and doesn't really make too much of a sound.
That's because
And
you're hydroplaning at that point.
Yeah, the wheel doesn't touch the ground anymore.
no, I know it's touching the ground because it's making the whole car vibrate.
Yeah, you have a bad tire.
A bad tire.
Yeah, you have a
Sure
tire
sounds
with a classic case of tread separation.
Huh.
Yeah, if you were to lift up that corner of the car
Uh-huh.
and spin that tire and watch as it spins, watch the tread, you will notice a perturbation in the tread. You'll notice
Perturbation? What does that mean?
deviation,
Okay.
a lump. You'll
Okay.
notice someplace where the tread doesn't look the same, doesn't look parallel to the other treads. You have like 5 treads going across, 5
Right.
grooves going across the tire. One of them or 2 of them is going to be screwed up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're going to say, wow, look at that.
How many miles on these tires?
I have no idea. I got them used.
You got them used. You
Yes.
bought used tires.
Yes.
How much did you pay for these here used tires?
Oh, I think $25 a pair.
A pair.
Double occupancy.
Excellent. How long have you had them?
Let's
doesn't
see, I
know.
probably had them about 3 or 4 months. I mean, I looked at the tire and it looks fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
So-
can't tell.
Can't
You have
tell.
to spin it.
Okay.
But I think you need to do this soon. Like now.
Okay.
Yeah.
As soon as you hang up.
Has it created damage to my car? I mean, it's been this
No,
way for a
but
while.
it can create damage to your car if you have like a blowout and you
Oh.
crash into a tree.
This tire is getting ready to self-destruct. Were these used tires and not retreads?
They were used tires,
Used.
not retreads.
Well, chances are the other 3 are okay. So
Okay.
you need to buy one.
Cool.
Cool.
Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
See you, Marisha.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. 1-800-332-9287. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi there, this is Dan in Atlanta.
Hey, Dan, how are you?
I'm well, how are you?
Pretty good. We're having a hard time today.
Yes.
We are. I don't know what's going on. My brother just took his pants off.
Well, they got this multi-million-dollar studio here. It's 100 degrees in here.
Yeah.
You sweating?
Yeah, I'm dying. But
Of course, that's not we're drinking hot chocolate.
What's up, Dan?
All right, my situation, first of all, my car is a 1992 Acura Integra.
Yeah.
And I have to give you a little background on this situation to help explain. I live in a duplex, and a gentleman has been living in the basement of this house.
Yeah.
And this gentleman is a mechanic. And it's just a small, tiny little dungeon of an apartment that he lives down in the basement. And for the most part...
Most mechanics live in little dungeons like that.
Okay. He rises very early in the morning and sits in his doorway and reads his paper. And so every morning as I go out and get in my car and start it up and drive off, he's there hearing me start this car up.
Aha.
And probably about 2 months ago, I drove home one day, got out of my car, and was just proceeding into my house when
And he said,
came out.
you better adjust those valves, Sonny.
Exactly. First he just started inquiring about, have I had my oil changed recently? Have I put in a new filter? Am I leaking oil?
Yeah.
And he continued to ask me these questions on occasion when I'd come home, and I would, for the most part, disregard his inquiries.
Yeah, he was just a strange
he was just an annoying little troll.
Troll under the bridge.
Yeah.
And it was probably 2 weeks ago, I came home one time, and he said, I really think you have a problem. He said, I believe that your car is not building up oil pressure.
I mean,
Really?
is this guy currently employed, or he just sits there and reads the paper all day?
No, he is employed. He works in a small garage not too far from where we live.
Uh-huh.
About 2 minutes later, there's a knock on the door, and it's this gentleman, and he's written out for me everything that I should have checked in regards to this problem that he thinks exists.
Really?
What a wonderful
What a nice
and
guy.
considerate troll.
I can read you the things that he wrote out.
Yeah, he thought the oil pump was not producing pressure, and he could tell that because he could hear the valves clacking away.
Exactly. So I had to take my car into my mechanic for an unrelated problem, so I figured, well, while I have it in there, I'll mention this to them and give their opinion on it. So took the car in. They let it sit overnight and did a cold start, and when I went back to pick it up the next day, they said, we don't think you have a problem. And their explanation was this. They said that the engine for the Acura, like the engine for, I think they said the Honda Prelude, the clearance on the valves is so small and so close that when it's cold and you start the car up, you're going to hear rattling, and it's just a noisy engine. But that once it warms up, that noise should go away, and there really is nothing to be worried about and no problems.
Well, it's interesting. The one piece of information that you mentioned was that one day when you were coming home from work, he stopped you, and evidently having heard your engine when it was warmed up, he still felt you had the problem.
See, here's the thing with oil pressure.
Okay.
When you start the engine in the morning, the engine is cold. You get lots of oil pressure because the engine's cold, and the engine's revving.
And the oil is viscous.
Yeah, and if the story they have about the clearances is true, and I don't know that it is or not, then maybe that would cause engine noise when it first is started, but it's not because of oil pressure. Later, when the engine warms up, like when you're on your way back home at night, and when you get home, the engine is all warmed up, and that's when the oil pressure is the lowest. So when you pull into the driveway, you now have the oil which is at its hottest, and you're idling, so the engine revs are down, and therefore the oil pressure is at its very lowest. If you have the noise then these guys are not right. See, unfortunately, these guys didn't really do anything because all they did was start it up and listen to it. What they should have really done is measured the oil pressure when the engine was hot, if they really cared about you.
Yeah.
Like this guy does.
Like this guy does.
Well, let me throw in this factor as well.
Uh-oh.
Our landlady, she has known this gentleman longer than I have. I mentioned this to her, and she said, don't let him anywhere near your car.
Boy.
So
maybe I need a third party to take this to, yeah.
So I think you have to go to a neutral party, I agree, and ask them simply, warm up the car and tell me the oil pressure, cold and hot.
Okay.
You want to know if it's within spec.
Okay.
If it is, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Okay, Danny, baby.
Thanks so much, guys.
See ya.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Don't go anywhere. Stick around for more calls from the new puzzler coming right up.
The Nintendo Switch 2 is already the fastest-selling video game console of all time. That's despite the technology behind it lagging years behind its competitors.
Without saying it, Nintendo is selling a culture.
On The Indicator, we unpack the unusual business strategy that transformed a tiny Japanese toy company into a global multimedia giant. Listen to The Indicator from Planet Money wherever you get your podcasts.
Pop Culture Happy Hour, NPR's easy-breezy, laid-back pop culture podcast, has brought you the best in culture for the past 15 years.
That means we spent the last 15 years talking about what exactly?
Bad reality TV, actually good Marvel movies.
Actually awful Marvel movies.
Reboots, pop music,
prestige dramas,
Netflix slop. That's 15 years of buzzy pop culture chit-chat, and here's to many more with you along for the ride. Listen to Pop Culture Happy Hour on the NPR app or wherever you get your podcasts.
on NPR's Throughline.
Schoolhouses are less expensive than rebellions.
We've been debating the government's role in education since the Civil War.
1/10 of our national debt would have saved us the blood and treasure of the late war.
How the Department of Education tried to fix a divided nation.
Listen to Throughline wherever you get your podcasts.
Grab a snack, make the bed, check your mail, or catch up on the latest news with the NPR News Now podcast. Listen in the time it takes you to do any of those other activities or while doing them. We bring you the stories you need to know in just 5 minutes every hour of every day. Listen now to the NPR News Now podcast.
Hi, we're back. You're listening to Car Talk from National Public Radio with us, Click and Clack, the Tappet Brothers, and we're here, of course, as always, to discuss cars, which we seldom do, car repair, which we seldom do, and some interesting signage. Now, I had a signage blockage the other day. You use a nasal spray for that?
How long have we been doing this show?
20 years.
You know what I just figured out? When the microphones are on, that little light comes on.
Oh, wow.
And when that light is off, the microphones are off.
Get out of town.
It took me 20 years.
Well, it took me 20 years and 2 minutes. It never occurred to me that...
Here's the interesting signage sent to us by John Tegler from God knows where.
It's in Arizona, isn't it?
These are presumably some actual signs that people have seen in various places. For example, at a Santa Fe gas station is a sign. We will sell gasoline to anyone in a glass container. On a long-established New Mexico dry cleaning establishment. 38 years on the same spot. I mean, talk about a bad choice of words. In the offices of a loan company. Ask about our plans for owning your home. On a main shop, our motto is to give our customers the lowest possible prices and workmanship. See, and whoever owned these stores thought when they were in the 8th grade that grammar was not going to be important in their lives.
Yes. Well, what's even sad about these is that after posting the signs, they didn't, in all likelihood, realize that they had...
And why? Because most of the people who came to and saw the signs didn't notice there was anything wrong either.
Yes.
It was just a general dumbing down of the entire American population.
38 years on the same spot.
I mean, when I was a kid, I was below average in intelligence. And now I'm considered a genius because everyone else has gotten so stupid. I think it's great.
Okay, now here's the puzzler for this week. Now, I've thought about this a lot, and I have a whole bunch of puzzles, but I have to revisit this puzzler from yesteryear for a variety of reasons. Number one, it was...
I know one of them. You found out the right answer.
All right. Number of reasons plus one.
Plus one.
Number one, it is perhaps one of the best puzzlers of all time, I think.
Monty Hall?
Number two, we haven't used it in so long that the people that heard it then are dead.
They're dead. Or they forgot.
Here it is in its simplest form.
Yeah.
You may remember the game show. What was that game show? Let's Make a Deal.
Let's Make a Deal, yeah.
Where the contestant was presented with 3 doors. Door number 1, door number 2, and door number 3. Behind one of the doors was a wonderful prize, and behind the other 2 doors were crummy prizes known as zonks.
Yeah.
And very simple.
Like a couple of candy bars or some such
Exactly.
thing. Something not worth much.
Exactly. 63 Dodge Dart, anything like that. Here's the deal. You are the contestant.
I'm the contestant.
Monty Hall says, pick a door. Your chances of picking up a zonk are 2 and 3, and your chances of picking the winner are 1 and 3.
Right.
He says, okay, you pick door number 2. I'm going to show you what's behind one of the doors that you didn't pick. Now, because there are 2 zonks and 1 winner, he knows where the winners and the zonks are, he shows you one of the doors that you didn't pick that's clearly a zonk.
So he says, I'm going to show you what's behind door number 1. And he looks behind door number 1.
And it's 6 candy bars.
6 candy bars.
He then says to you, would you like to keep door number 2, which you've chosen, or would you like to switch to door number 3? That's the question. Should you switch or not switch? Now, if you think you know the answer, or just feel sorry for the post office in this age of email, and you want to give them something to do, send your answer to Puzzler Tower, Car Talk Plaza, Box 3500, Harvard Square, Cambridge.
Our fair city.
Ma 02238. Or if you prefer, you can email us your answer from our website, cartalk.msn.com. Just click on the Talk to Car Talk section. Now, if we choose your correct answer at random, from among all of the correct answers that we receive, you will get a Car Talk Sistine Wrench t-shirt. Car Talk's first attempt and probably last at fine art.
And we don't say when you'll get it. We let you will get it.
You shall get it. You might.
At some time
probably will.
In the future.
Our number, if you'd like to call us, is 1-800-332-9287. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
This is Daniel from Falmouth, Maine.
Daniel, look, before we start,
yeah,
we spent a lot of time on just a couple of calls here, so we're going to have to really hustle this up.
So we're going to give you the bum's rush. You don't mind, do you?
I don't mind.
Okay.
Right. I'll try to be fast.
Ask us something like with a yes or no answer.
Yeah. I won't. I could ask a lot of yes or no questions.
You do whatever you want.
Okay. Here we go. I have a 91 Stanza. Nissan Stanza.
Yeah.
It had a lot of transmission problems. Basically, the thing had to be rebuilt, and it took them 3 or 4 times to get it right. Eventually,
automatic or manual?
Automatic.
Yeah.
And they got the transmission squared away pretty well. Shortly after finally getting it fixed, I began to have the following problem.
Overheating?
No.
Okay.
No.
Don't go putting words in his mouth. It's taking up more time.
Right.
Static on the radio.
Stop it! I thought I was supposed to be fast here.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry.
if I, after driving this car for a few miles, if I turn the wheel sharply, for example, like pulling into a parking slot 90 degrees from the direction I'm going, there is a very loud, very forceful vibration from the front end, like that.
And the noise occurs from the same side, whether you're turning left or right, or is it?
It's the whole front end seems to shake hard. If I'm partway through the turn and straighten the wheel out, it goes away.
And it has never happened like if you were coming off of a highway and taking an exit and taking a pretty sharp turn to come off an exit?
Sure it would.
I've never had it happen under those circumstances.
Yeah, okay, my brother is sorry I asked that question.
Yeah.
No, I'm not sorry. No.
So I had him. I took it back to the transmission place. Had him put it up on the rack. Their opinion was that actually it had nothing to do with the transmission. They were sick of seeing me, obviously.
Oh yeah.
But they thought that there was some issue going on with the brakes, where a brake or both brakes were sort of heating up and grabbing.
I don't think so. You can get this to happen making your tight turns without stepping on the brake.
Absolutely correct.
Right.
I don't have to step on the brake.
Well, I think they're right that it has nothing to do with the transmission, but I think they're wrong that it has something to do with the brakes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that comes immediately to mind is that you have a bad axle, a bad constant velocity joint. That's the thing that comes to mind immediately.
I asked them if it could be the CV joint, and they said, oh, no, it's not that.
Well, but this was a transmission place.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't know.
Really?
No. Do you have a regular shop?
A regular doctor, so to speak.
Right. Who's your primary?
Who's your primary care mechanic?
My gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Not really. But I could take it to the dealer.
Well, you could. See, the problem is because you don't have a primary care person.
Yeah.
You have no one that's going to go out of his way for you.
Right.
The transmission guys, we know, hate you.
Right. They do. Very, very badly.
Yeah. So you really can't, I mean, they don't want to see you anymore. They don't care, quite honestly, if the wheels fall off and you die. Matter of fact, they may be hoping that happens.
Right.
So I was going to suggest if you had somebody that was willing to, quote, work with you a little bit, you could ask that person to replace one of the axles or maybe both of them and see if the noise goes away. I suspect that that's going to solve it.
Okay. Let me ask you this. If it is the CV joint or the axle. Am I in danger here of something?
Not yet.
No,
bad
as a matter of fact, the best way to approach this, if it were my car, if I were you, is I would let it go until it gets worse, until, in fact, it begins making the noise under the circumstances that my brother explained 25 minutes ago.
Yeah. So a more gentle curve.
Yes, exactly. Exiting a highway on a ramp of constant radius of curvature, you'd get the But when that happens, you'll know you have a bad axle.
So now the next question is going to be, how much money, and is it worth even doing it, or should I just get rid of the car?
Well, it's a few $100 an axle at the very least.
Okay.
All right.
I will do that.
Do we answer any of your questions?
No.
I didn't think so.
No, actually, it's very helpful because I doubted this brake diagnosis.
Wait, that was the yes or no part of the question.
That's right. Here you go. I have a question for you. Is it the brakes?
No.
Okay, great. Thanks.
See you, Daniel.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks for calling, Daniel.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Well, it's happened again. You have wasted another hour listening to Car Talk. Our esteemed producer is Doug the Subway Fugitive, not a slave to fashion Berman. Our associate producer and Dean of the College of Automusicology is Ken Babyface Rogers.
Ken is due for a new name.
He is. Yeah, he needs something bad. Our assistant producer is Catherine Crystal Ray, and our engineer is John Marsden. Our technical, spiritual, and menu advisor is Mr. John Lawler. Our public opinion pollster is Paul Murky of Murky Research, of course assisted by statistician Marge in Overa. Our director of new product repair is Warren T. Myfoot. Our staff butler from the Car Talk Mumbai division is Mahatma Coat. Our document security expert from the island of Jamaica is Euripides Upman. Our Italian governess is Donna Day Everlearn. The co-chairs of the Car Talk building department are Norman Naylor and Maureen Staplegun. Our evasive driving instructor is Vera Bruckley. Our director of moral support is Hugh DeMann. The chairman of the Federal Lubrication Board is Alan Greasepan. And our Leo Tolstoy biographer this week is Warren Peace, author of Leo Tolstoy by Warren Peace. Our chief counsel from the law firm of Dewey, Cheatham & Howe is Hugh Lewis Dewey, known under the benches of Harvard Square as Huey Louie Dewey. Thanks so much for listening. We're Click and Clack the Tappet Brothers. And above all, do not drive like my brother.
Don't drive like my brother either.
We'll be back next week. Bye-bye.
And now, with an important announcement, here is Car Talk Plus's chief mechanic, Mr. Vinny Bombats.
All right, shut up, Buick. Just want a copy of this week's Car Talk show, which happens to be number 41. Here's what you got to do, all right?
All right, now you will give us the phone number now, Vinny? Is that?
No, I'm going to recite the 14th Amendment to the Freedonian Constitution. You jerk. The number to call is 303-823-8000.
And what's the number if people wanted the best of Car Talk CD or other Car Talk things?
What are you, just trying to annoy me or something? For Car Talk CDs, cassettes, T-shirts, etc., you call 303-823-8000, or you visit our shameless commerce division at cartalk.msn.com. You got anything to add to this, Mr. Radio Man?
No, I don't.
Good. Car Talk is a production of Dewey, Cheatham & Howe and WBUR in Boston.
And even though Bailey White's voice cracks every time she hears us say it, this is NPR, National Public Radio.
On NPR's Wildcard podcast, Michelle Obama says she's reinventing herself.
I don't know if my ambition has ever fully been able to actualize itself. I think I'm now at a stage in my life where all my choices are mine.
I'm Rachel Martin. Listen to Wildcard for a conversation about balancing family and personal growth with Michelle Obama.
At Planet Money, we know that economic jargon can sometimes feel like speaking another language.
Yeah, like arbitrage, alpha, autarky.
That's just what's in the news these days. There's also absolute advantage, aggregate demand,
aggregate supply, and this is just the A's.
Oh, animal spirits.
That's a pretty good one. Planet Money from NPR. We help you translate the economy so you can understand the world, wherever you get your podcasts.
What would you think if you saw a robot dog out for a walk in your neighborhood?
What the hell is that? Oh my God.
This is Basha. She's hanging out with us. So could I have a medium?
Double takes and how they can change your point of view. That's on the TED Radio Hour podcast from NPR.